right. Welcome, everybody. Exciting to see so many folks joining us today, and I'm sure everybody's excited to learn more about ggRock. ggRock is our name of our new Pixie Boot iSCSI project that we started back in April. We made the decision in an offsite meeting in April that we really wanted to have extra products that bolt on to our core management system called ggLeap. I've seen some people give me some crap about the name ggRock. Well, guess what? This is what it's called. The idea behind it is that it's the foundation. It's the first thing that happens. It is the core of operating a center efficiently, effectively. It's we've been using third-party products for boot solutions for a long, long time, and ggRock is what we've created from scratch with all of the choices available to us to do what we wanted to do through the project, knowing that we had a blank whiteboard, an empty slate as we started the project. So just a little bit background about what it is. The easiest way I describe this to folks, and today's call is not super technical. We have a ton of technical folks that will answer a bunch of questions for you. We'll have some deep dives technologically into what we're doing on the project. This is I'll talk a little bit about it, but I describe a Pixie Boot iSCSI solution to a lot of people. It's just imagine if you don't have a hard drive in your PC. You know, how does that PC boot up? How does that PC work? It boots off of a device on your local network. Trust me when I said we started with a clean slate. I originally tasked the team with, hey, let's have a master server at AWS that all of the PCs around the world boot off of. Wouldn't that be awesome? However, we're not there yet. With bandwidth speeds available to everybody and latency out to the cloud. Not saying that that's not a thing of the future, but for right now, we just decided to make this as effective and efficient as possible. We were going to put it on the local network. So on the local network, you'll have a server. And that one server had a question from Lenovo today as we're working on some packages with Lenovo and a couple of the other PC manufacturers. You know, they're like, do we need to include deep freeze in this? So this image that is sitting on this server is the single image that all the PCs boot off of. You could have a couple different images. You could have a couple different styles of PCs in that network, but they all boot off of that. And they load that into their local RAM and run things with all the rest of the local hardware in the gaming PC. So it's not like a virtual machine where you're dependent on the server running the GPU and the RAM and the processor. It still uses everything that you need for good gaming response time in the local PC. It just takes the hard drive portion of that and puts it on the network on one single image. So for example, last week, I think it was maybe the week before that, there was a 20 gig update for Modern Warfare, the new Call of Duty. Basically, you go into the main image and you update it, unfreeze it, update it, freeze it again, and all the PCs turn on. There's no pushing files over the network. That's the other way that I kind of explain this to non-technical folks is there's imaging solutions out there that build an image for a PC and then push that over the network to the local hard drive. There is no local hard drive needed in the PC. So as soon as the image is ready, you turn the PCs on and they all boot off that single image. And we may talk about this in the future slides coming up, but like some folks ask me, okay, I have 5 or 10. Who should look at using this? I can tell you from years of experience, everyone should look at using this. There's very rare cases where somebody maybe has 2 PCs in a back corner of a card game shop. Probably not applicable to them because updating 2 PCs at a time is not that big of a deal. Managing 2 PC images is not that big of a deal. However, even starting as low as 5 or 10 PCs, I would recommend using a solution like this. It just cuts down on the amount of bandwidth needed, the amount of time needed, keeping track of all those updates on every PC. And it also does that deep freeze thing, the nice thing about freezing the image so that players can download a bunch of Steam games, and when they reboot that PC, it goes back to the same master image. Georgina, I'm just gonna watch my screen, so if you have questions along the way, if you just want to flag me or something, I can direct those. But let me get through a couple of these screens because these may answer everybody's questions. So key feature overview. Again, we'll get into a lot more of the technical items with Ross and Neveroff and some of the guys jumping into some deep dives in the coming months, but we wanted a solution that was a lot more efficient and effective, and we also wanted to make sure that it was a reasonably buildable hardware configuration that wasn't so extreme as some of the other solutions out there, finding the right set of parts and pieces to build that server. And like I said, we're talking with Lenovo and a couple other folks like The dream for me is to be able to have a off-the-shelf product provided by a couple major manufacturers. Someone could just order those, have them shipped in. You get the 3 or 5 year maintenance and warranty plan from that group. And maybe even in that case, we would have some of our stuff pre-installed on there as it comes out. In the meantime, you're going to need to look at the hardware. You're going to need to come look at the list and build those PCs. Our services team is also happy to build those PCs for you. And our services team then loads everything up and handles all the installation on those. But we're about 50% less compared to other solutions right now in our server hardware costs. So if you have built one before and you spent $4,000, just imagine spending about $2,000 building the hardware that our software will run on. And I know this question came up earlier. I want to touch on this with everybody so everybody understands. Like, one major downfall to our industry is that our industry is not unified when it comes to licensing. And I know that, like, for example, other solutions right now that we use currently requires a Windows Server Edition on the PC. Now, if you buy a proper Windows Server Edition license, you're going to spend $700 or $800. And then on top of that, technically the way that's licensed, if you're using it to run all these other clients in that environment, you should be paying licenses for all those clients as well. And none of us do that. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I mean, it's definitely wrong according to the license, but we're not using it in the way the licenses were built. Like, our focus on this, it's a Linux-based system at its core, is that we really want to eliminate the need for some of these licenses that should be bought on the other solutions that aren't necessary to be bought, because you can run it just fine without having that at the core of the server. Our $2,000 server configuration, you can see in the notes here on the slides if you're watching, it'll run 100 PCs, no problem. We have a client that's asked us about 500 PCs. And again, on the technical deep dives, Neveroff would love to get into some of that fun stuff, but we're using all the available bandwidth you can provide through the different NIC cards that you can put in your PCs, your server, and your switches. So what we can do is we can go and load things, and Neveroff and team are pretty convinced that we can build a single server that will run 500 PCs. So that'll be fun to watch some of those things take effect over the next few months as we set up these tests. It's one point of entry for game updates. If you're not familiar, we'll cover a couple of those points, but you know, it's really the case of having to manage one PC. Just imagine if you just had one PC to keep track of in your center, and that PC was then duplicated or mirrored across all those other actual physical pieces of hardware PCs in your center. So it's just so much less time. You get up in the morning, your first staff member comes in, and they make sure that there's any updates have been updated overnight, and then they freeze it, and then they just boot up all the PCs and open the store. There's nothing left to be done. It's really fun for those of you that are able to do this and be flexible. When a player walks in and they're like, oh my gosh, like, there's a certain game that I love that you guys don't have installed. The nice thing is that you can utilize the storage in the server to offer a lot more games and a lot more effectively based on hard drive space, because you could have 4 terabytes of game drive space on the server and not have to have any, again, hardware or hard drives in the PCs themselves. So weird edge case games that that don't have that many updates anymore, but you just didn't have space for it in each of your PC hard drives, you can do that in this solution. Definitely reduces bandwidth. You're updating one image. You don't have to worry about updating every single PC. And it's for sure a premium experience for players. Like, the chances of the player walking in, clicking a button, and like, oh, I'm spending all my time updating League of Legends on this PC, or I sat on that PC and updated it yesterday, and today I sat here and have to wait on it to update again. It's a way better experience for players. All right. So to get into this is what a lot of this call is about, is I want to explain our Pioneer program for those that want to get in and start testing it and playing with it. And for those of you that don't know, when we launched ggLeap in the very, very, very beginning, we did a Pioneer program, which is essentially a Kickstarter. Like, join early, you get extra benefits and rewards and tiers based on the level that you buy in. So we have pioneers from ggLeap way back in the day that already have access to a group on Discord. If any of you that were pioneers in the very beginning have not gotten an email from Georgina or a contact from Jake, or reached out by JMac or Ross or whatever, let us know. We'll get in that group. If you are a pioneer from way back in the day, you can use ggRock for free right now. During this Pioneer period, we're not selling it. We're not doing early access. There's no license fees. It's just open for pioneers to use it. We do have some new centers coming up that are opening in January, February, March. So we will be opening the Pioneer program up for people to join moving forward. It'll always be moving forward. We have a couple other products coming out next year. We're not going to talk about on this call, and this will always be the case, is our plan is that once you're a Pioneer, you're always a Pioneer, but it's never retroactive. So if you join today or when we open this up, I think our plan is on December 25th to have some fun with Christmas. But if you join and you're a new Pioneer, you'll get all of the discounts for ggRock moving forward, but you don't get to go back in time and get ggLeap discounts, because it really rewards those folks who join us at that point in time. If you join today, you'll get Pioneer discounts on all our future products that we continue to launch over the next couple of years as well. So existing Pioneers, your discounts on ggRock will be as follows. If you're Platinum, it's 50% off. If you're Gold, it's 35% off. If you're Silver, it's 20% off. I have a chart that I'll share with everybody, but to put this into financial terms, if you're a 20 to 30 PC center and you join at the Silver level, our intention is that you make your money back within 1 to 2 years on those discounts. If you join as a Gold member, you'll have 30 to 40 stations. If you're 50 to 75 stations or bigger at the Platinum level, on all those scenarios, you'll make your money back on that investment to join those Pioneer programs based on those discounts. Like we're talking about a pricing level. I'll wait because I think this is on another level. And by the way, if you want any information about those things, just email sales@ggCircuit.com. All of our account managers and a few other folks are monitoring that email to be able to get you into the Pioneer program starting December 25th. We'll take new signups. The existing ones, we can get you in there now. So I talked about it a little bit. Here's the buy-in amounts. This was the exact same for ggLeap. There's no reason to change it. It'll be the exact same for future products that we release. So if you buy in at $1,000, you'll be at the Silver level, and you'll get 20% off for life once we start charging for ggRock. If you buy at those other levels, you'll get those discounts as well. We're going to limit it again like we did before. The fun thing is that when we limited it before, we really limited it, and we got the exact same amount of people interested in it that we limited it to. So it wasn't like we turned anyone away from the first Pioneer program. Most of you know that we have a lot more centers now. I know we're going to limit it. The first time was 100. This time we may add an extra 100. So we may have a total of 200 Pioneer centers in there, but we have a lot more than 200 clients around the world. So we'll just kind of test that out over the next couple of weeks and see what the demand is to probably decide. Like, our intention's not to have 500 Pioneer centers. The Pioneer program's intended to reward folks with a discount that get in early and realize they're in an early access, like not early access, alpha stage product where it's not going to be super sexy loading screens that do a lot of things for you. You're going to have to follow the guidelines on it to install everything and go through the steps. You'll need to be more technically minded than the average bear in order to install it at this stage. So hopefully none of my GameStop clients are watching this, but this is not something that GameStop would do. Like, they're just not in a position to be a Pioneer center. A Pioneer center would be those of you out there that run 1 or maybe 2 stores and you're savvy with the technical setup and you don't have any problem, getting under the hood of a server and putting this stuff in. We'll do a PayPal link like we did before. I think JMac and his support and onboarding team are going to manage that. So the idea is that the new Pioneers will be able to buy in December 25th, and then we're going to release it to them as early as January 6th. And I'm sure Georgina's got a slide on here that we can talk about some of the timing. It'll be a monthly subscription. I don't want to say too much here because I don't want to offend folks, but like, here's my problem with pricing. Like, it could be like we've gone all around between $1 and $5 or $6 or $7 or $8 a PC a month. Like, there'll definitely be a discount bundle with ggLeap if you're a customer of both. We'll do all of those sort of things. Here's my problem with it is that, as I said to everybody else, it's the core system that doesn't require a lot of online connectivity. Like, our product ggLeap is priced in such a way because it's cloud-based, and we have a cost of running every one of those clients. Like, those clients around the world for ggLeap that connect back to our core system in AWS, we have a cost of running that for folks. We don't have as big of a cost. We don't know what that cost is quite yet, but it's not going to be anywhere close to the same as ggLeap. Like, ggRock needs to function by itself without internet access because a lot of those things happen before the PC images are loaded. Therefore, it's a different product than we have today with ggLeap. So we don't know the pricing yet. That's why we're doing the Pioneer program during this probably 3 to 6 month period, so that we can monitor and see how much of that will we build into web interfaces to allow you to configure things once it's set up, and what our expenses will be, like how much data and storage and things that we have to pay for AWS. So I can tell you there's been a lot of discussions around pricing internally. We don't want to charge a lot for it, but we also know that it'll be a standalone product. It will be something that I can envision folks that run a convention setup may run and set up and use to just load 5 or 6 games onto 200 PCs for a convention that then just get wiped out the next day, and maybe ggLeap is not used on top of that. So we've actually had discussions with other management software providers about using ggRock with their management solution. We don't intend for this to just be something that you have to have ggLeap to use. So I wish we could give everybody a better idea on pricing on today's call, but I can tell you it's going to be. You can look at what competitors out there that make other products price. Like, we have the option of pricing it in and around there. We have an option of pricing it less than that. In the end, our company has always been about unifying the industry, putting everybody on one platform, and also there's a chance, and I don't want to say this for sure, and it's not in any of these slides. And Georgina, I've never had you type this up, but we've been talking with Microsoft about including Windows licensing for all those PCs as part of our base product. So again, I'm not saying throw anybody under the rug, but like at my store, I run another boot product and I run ggRock now, and I have Windows licenses for every one of my PCs because I bought them with a Windows license in it. If I wanted to build my own, I don't have to buy a Windows license with it for ggRock to work. And so essentially the licensing of Windows for that gaming PC, where does that fall? It falls on the responsibility of that store to go out and buy those OEM licenses, and that can be expensive. So if I can use this system with Microsoft, I don't know if many of you saw my travels or follow me on Facebook, but I was just with them talking about this exact thing. Is there licensing that we can bulk buy to make all these folks that are running this software officially licensed for Windows on their gaming PCs that will be able to just bundle into our costs? So that could change the cost from $1 per month to $5 a month. And I can tell you, I would have no problem at all paying $5 a PC a month if that came with a Windows license on top of it. And the Windows license would be in perpetuity. So it would always get the latest version upgrades with it so that you always can be up to speed, like in a jump from Windows 7 to Windows 10, jump from Windows 10 to whatever the next one's going to be called, et cetera, et cetera. All right, rollout. So for timing. So we do have centers that are testing this now. We have a really big industrial partner that has a lab set up in Europe that's getting ready to do some rollouts that we just didn't have a choice on. Their schedule required us to kind of work with them early on. We had to get them a copy of this product so that they could put it in their labs and start punching it and kicking it and testing it. There are other centers that are downloading it, working with our team in the private Discord group. So that's going on now. The existing pioneers, anybody that's out there, that if you were a ggLeap pioneer, you can get it now. Just get with us. We'll get you in the Discord group. It's got all the hardware requirements, a bunch of other technical questionnaires and things that you can fill out, and you can read through and see what you need to do to be able to support it. We will start taking new signups on December 25th. I'm glad Georgina put it in this slide. So Merry Christmas to the world. We'll take new Pioneer signups starting the 25th. It shows through January 6th because that's when we will release the product to those folks who just signed up. So if you sign up on the 25th, don't plan on testing it all day the 26th. Our group will be ready to support you as of January 6th as you join the Pioneer program. We're going to do some deep dive webinars. Georgina, were you able to talk to Neveroff and confirm the 30th? Was that good for him and their group? Okay.
Yes.
So you won't want to miss those. If you guys are ready to tweak out over all the features and everything else, I'll be able to answer some of your questions today, but that's really where you'll really get under the hood. And I just don't want to say the wrong thing and promise something that's not true or underestimate. A lot of times I'm conservative and I underestimate what our system will be able to do. So don't miss those dates. That'll be the 30th of December, and then again Monday the 6th. So you'll be able to just ask all the technical questions you want of our tech team. And then again, early access, this Pioneer access will start Monday the 6th. We think it will go about 3 to 6 months. We're not going to put bookends on it because it could be done in 2 or 3 or 4 months. It could be done in 9 months until the point we feel comfortable packaging it up in one installer that's easy to use for the regular folks that are out there. That'll be our version 1. And when version 1's ready, then we will start charging per month, and then everybody will get their discounts that were part of the Pioneer program when that starts moving forward at that time. All right. Question and answers. All right. So Georgina, it just says Q on here. So if I just read through these, I can just start answering some of these questions now. And obviously, if other people have questions, just start type them into the chat. All right. If we already have the Windows licenses, if you bundle them, can they be unbundled? Yeah. I mean, the intention would be we'd have 2 different versions. However, I'd like for it to be cheap enough that it's almost like a non-issue. We're talking with Microsoft, and those of you that do OEM licenses and you understand how this stuff works, like there are versions of Windows licenses that can work on smart home devices. They call them IoT, Internet of Things. So we're working with that group to find out if we would qualify for that, where it becomes less expensive. So hopefully it won't be a thing where like it matters if it saves a couple dollars a PC a month or not. Hopefully it'll be something we don't have to worry about. But if it ends up being like you could run it with your own licenses for $1 or with the bundled licenses for $10, if it's that drastic of a price, yeah, we'll make it where you can do those things separately. Is it fair to keep going from the top of this list down, or are those the notes? I'm just going to scroll to the bottom.
From the bottom up.
All right, I'm going to the bottom. Does ggRock support multiple CPUs? So I'm assuming you mean on the PC, on the server, is what I'm guessing you mean, but I'm not even going to attempt to do that one. I think we support everything, but you better wait on the technical question. Which Linux OS? Again, I'll say the wrong thing, but I know there's one that we've selected that is installed with it as part of the install process. I don't think it's Red Hat Enterprise, but save that one. Jacob, any of these technical ones I'm going to skip over and make you sad, but you just need to join the December 30th one and pelt Neveroff and Ross and those guys with those. How does a diskless boot solution work in with an SAS app? That's a great question. It's really 2 different things, and it kind of goes back to my point about this being priced differently. So the where software as a service might be applicable is that we love to get to the point where we're maintaining an image and all the games on 1 or 2 or 10, whatever it takes, master images on AWS that everybody can just use as their master image to copy down and replace for their local install. Like, again, it won't work just online at this point because not all of us can put in, 2 gigabit fiber connections for our local networks. So for right now, it will not be a software as a service app. It will be more as an old school. This is funky to think about, but an old school, like you'll get it for version 1. We'll probably charge per PC per month, no matter what. Just because our licensing system set up that way, like, I don't know. Like there's probably a world out there where we could say, hey, you could buy it for a one-time fee of $2,000 and it's paid for that version 1.0. But when version 1.5 comes out, you get those updates, but version 2.0 you have to pay for an upgrade. It's just a weird old school world, a way of doing software that's not really sustainable anymore because we want to just keep developing on it and keep enhancing it. So it'll probably be priced monthly. It'll probably have an SaaS component to it. I can't see a way of not doing it just because there's a lot of things you could control from the web that can be actively updated in reports and data and things like that. How's ggRock compare with CC Boot? What are the advantages over it? There actually is a lot of documentation that's put together comparing it. We just, we compare it to a couple solutions, but obviously I like the guys at CC Boot. I don't mind saying CC Boot's name on this call. We use their solution, have used their solution up to this point. There's things about it that we wished we could have done differently, and that's why we built our own product. It's also because we want to be able to develop live on the fly and conquer new things as they come out quickly and easily through our own solution. It benchmarks way above what CC Boot and some other folks do. And again, it's not anything against them. It's their product was built a few years ago for a specific purpose. We've gone back and I've just said to our team, it needs to be affordable. We need to be able to buy the hardware pretty easily. It needs to be commonly found, easily accessible hardware. It shouldn't take rocket scientists to develop this thing or to implement this solution. It needs to be easy to use. So in the end, what our team's created is going to give many multiples better performance over other solutions. And that data is being tested right now. And some of that's shared in the documentation in the Pioneer groups. So as soon as you get in those Pioneer groups, you can kind of see some of that stuff. Let's see. Prioritizing supporters of the GG Leap. We're definitely ready to jump aboard ggRock as soon as mid-February. Yeah, so Jacob, you'll want to do the Pioneer program at any. I mean, it doesn't matter what level you buy in. It's just kind of your choice of how big your center is going to be. That you'll make back that level of Pioneer quicker, depending on the level you buy in to get those discounts. So definitely do that. Get it at the minimum level so that you can get your hands on it. It will work without. There is nothing that requires GG Leap in this product at this time, and we don't have any. We intended for it to be a standalone product. So you'll be able to use it whether or not you're ready to go with GG Leap or not. Can we use the built-in SSDs in the clients as a local cache? We've looked at that as an option right now. We're not focused on it at all. We all know that if you buy standard PCs, like calling up Alienware or HP Omen or something and saying, I don't need a hard drive, doesn't really save you any money from those folks because like they just have their SKUs that like we can't remove Windows licenses from them. Like they're just like, hey, it has to come that way. Even though they claim to custom build your PC, they just can't remove some of that stuff a lot of times. If you're building your own PCs, I would recommend not putting hard drives in it, at least in these first stages. We're planning on doing all of the stuff for write back and local all of that stuff on the server itself. So we're building it with no intentions of needing a hard drive in the PC. That doesn't mean that we won't in the future develop something that maybe takes advantage of it if it's there, but it will never be required. This one has a ton of tech in it, Jacob. I'm leaving that one for you to ask the other guys because I don't even want to comment on exact specs. We have a list of them. I could go look at the list. I could answer those questions, but you can just look at the list and answer it. Is seminar being recorded? Absolutely. Like Georgina said, it's not that easy to rewatch, though. You have to watch the whole thing. So you can't fast forward and rewind the way this software works. But yes, anybody that signed up that didn't join us today can get access to it.
We'll be sharing a YouTube link a couple of hours after the webinar.
And the YouTube one, can they fast forward and rewind and stuff then, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just knew you couldn't. If you rewatch it in this software, you can't. So.
Yeah, it's a pain. Yeah.
Cool. How much slower will ggRock be over a 1 gig compared to a 6 gig or a 10 gig? No. So like the way that we're developing it, it's a good question, Jacob, and I can commonize it in my terms for those of us common folks. The more PCs that you put on your network, the load times will vary based on your network speed. We try to take advantage of the full 1 gigabit that everybody probably has. Like I don't know of anybody that doesn't have at least gigabit network for their local network, because again, the server sits on the local network, the PCs connect to it. However, like right away, you'll want to put a 10 gig card in the server because all of those PCs connecting back only have a gig, but they're all sharing that one line into the server. We have options for 10 gigs, 40 gigs. There's a bunch of different options in our configurations of ways you can do this, and we've researched and found really inexpensive hardware, on the networking side. I've used, from my ISP background, a bunch of MikroTik products for years. We love their products. You get Cisco level service with them with about 1/10 of the price of what Cisco level products cost. There will be a lot of advantages for putting in as much network as you can afford to put in, especially if you're building your center. But if you have an existing center with gigabit network, you'll be just fine. We have customers that have 200 plus PCs in their network, and those are the folks that would definitely benefit from upgrading their network if they're just gigabit now. To making sure they've got 10 gigs between all their different switches. So just think of it like if you drew the chart out where the bottlenecks are. If 40 PCs into one switch then go through a 1 gig connection back to another switch, you'll upgrade that one to like a 10 or a 40 gig connection between those switches. If you're having trouble with the connection, this will be up on YouTube and Twitch after this. Is ggRock a piece of software you install yourself on a Linux PC? Yeah, so basically the install package that you'll go through in this will include installing Linux or Linux on the PC that will run ggRock. It's a separate software, ggRock's separate, but obviously you have to have that base OS on that server for ggRock to then be installed on top of. So it's not hard. I can do it. I'm not super technical anymore. I don't get my hands dirty any longer. Everybody makes fun of me at my company because I just get to be the pretty face, but It's not something that you should be intimidated by. It'll be step by step. And again, our team, just as everybody who loves us from ggLeap now, like we're always available. We always can help. We always have 24-hour support. That stuff all applies to ggRock as well. Can we pay for a year or more in advance rather than a monthly subscription? Yeah, there'll be definitely same options we do with ggLeap. You'll get discounts for paying in advance for sure. As a Pioneer, we buy in. We don't have to have subscription too, right? Exactly. So if you do the Pioneer buy-in now, that gets you access to the software right now through this whole period, which we estimate to be 3 to 6 months. So you don't pay anything during that month except the Pioneer buy-in. And if you're an old Pioneer and you already bought into ggLeap, you don't have to pay anything at all. I saw one of the first couple emails that came back to Georgina when she sent this out via email. People are like, how much, they were asking how much they had to pay to buy in again. You don't have to buy in again. Once you're a Pioneer, you're always a Pioneer. So if you're
however, in response to this question, once that early access period is over, there is a monthly subscription. Correct. However, as a Pioneer, you get the discounted price.
Right. Right. And the one thing too is any of the original Pioneers, if they want to change their level, they can. But again, any change you make now is not retroactive. So if you were a gold Pioneer for ggLeap and you wanted to jump from gold to platinum and pay that $2,500 difference, you'll get the platinum benefits for ggRock moving forward, but you don't get to go back in time and get the platinum benefits for ggLeap. So there is the ability to move up and down those levels for any of the original Pioneers. Yeah, I answered that one, so we're back up to where we were when I started at the top accidentally. If you buy in as Pioneers, do we need to pay the amounts now or after trial period is done? So if you buy in as a Pioneer, you don't have to pay anything. So right now you buy in, and that's the one-time fee to get in the program. And then once you're in the program, you don't pay anything until we start the actual subscription product in 3, 6, 9 months. I think we've covered that a couple times here. Universities don't need bundled licenses. They already have those agreements. Winger must have been answering somebody else. Will there be a replication option? Our biggest fear is CC booters. Yeah. So this is a great question, Kevin. So I can tell you one of the scariest things that I had, and just to give you guys a little bit of background of what we did, we were doing these big conventions and we're trying to find a solution to go to these huge conventions. They would make it easier because Alienware would ship us on skids 150 PCs to use for one weekend, and then we'd have to put them back on skids and send them back to them when we were in these big shows. So the same exact thing, and most of us have these fears, again, working with third-party products that we've used before. I want to say it took us 3 to 6 months to build a stable hardware build and get used to the software and find all the quirks with it before we felt comfortable running it. There were times where it was really scary to have that one point of failure. However, in that case, and with ggRock moving forward, you'll want to have redundancy built into that server for hardware purposes anyway. The images, to answer the question about the images themselves, we want to have the ability to have 2 servers and actually run them mirrored where you're not maintaining 2 different servers. With current products that are on the market today, there is no option for that. We do want to have that. That's not in the current version in the Pioneer phase. However, I want to say we've ran, Winger would know this, so I'll say the wrong number and he'll yell at me later, but let's say we've ran 50 Pixie servers we've built with third-party products over the last couple years for clients, and we maintain a lot of those on a monthly basis for those clients. Knock on wood, we've not had a problem with a single piece of hardware causing a failure across those networks. One of our clients that's new to us, that's building out 20 locations, they've got 7 built now, they'll be at 20 by the end of next quarter. They brought up a point of the good part about Pixie Boot is also the bad part about Pixie Boot. When you have a problem with your image, let's say NVIDIA drivers are not updated, the problem is you need to go in and fix it, or all of the PCs on your network will have the same problem every time they reboot. So you could download a NVIDIA driver fix on one, and then you go to reboot it, and if you did not do it on the master image, it's now for all the parts that are good, it is the parts that are bad. So you have to change your way of thinking when you run a solution like this. I would put out of your minds the fear of failure in a single server, running everything, as much as it is the fear of not maintaining good updates for those things. So again, you'll become more comfortable with it as you use it. for those folks, we've had folks that run 2 servers. You know, they have 110 stations and they just felt more comfortable having another set of hardware sitting right next to it. But like, unless you're logging in every day and updating both of those, and you have to change IPs and change DHCP to get the PCs to boot off of the other one versus the first one, the current solutions out there are not made to do that. We will have that as part of our offerings in the future, but that's not in there right now. Let's see. Was there ggLeap Pioneer folks that were in early access, or was it a separate program? Yeah, the Pioneer program was also in early access. So the original Pioneer program, then we went into early access, and we wanted to get folks on and close the Pioneer program, and people then just signed up. If you remember, it was like $29, $79, $99. We had different levels at that point because we weren't sure how to price it in early access. And then we did version 1 in October of last year for ggLeap, and that's where we really kind of standardized our pricing. So I don't think this is done yet, but Georgina and JMac are going back through, and we'll publish the Pioneer folks on the website again on ggCircuit.com. And we shouldn't have taken it off. We had it on ggleap.com years ago. We took it off when we redid the site a year or two ago. We're going to put the Pioneer stuff back on ggCircuit.com. So if you have any questions about whether you are or aren't, it'll be on there, or just email sales@ggCircuit.com and they can look it up. We have a list of all of them. You know, some of them are folks that have gone out of business since then. There's some who joined thinking they were going to start their centers and never opened. There's some who haven't opened yet that joined that program 2 years ago. So we'll honor all of those folks that bought into that program. You know, if you have a question about whether you're on that list or not, just email us and we can check for you. What's the requirement to sign up as Pioneer? Our purchase department shut down from December 20th.
I already responded. Yeah. So okay. Mitch, just contact sales@ggCircuit.com and they'll hook you up to work with your window.
Yeah. For everybody else, the plan is to we'll publish the links on like JMac is not allowed to have a day off, so JMac has to work on Christmas. So knowing JMac, he'll write something that does this automatically, but he still won't be able to retain himself from checking and watching. On December 25th, we will publish the links for those 3 Pioneer buy-ins at that point. So on December 25th forward, you'll be able to buy then. But those folks, again, won't have access to use it until January the 6th. Unless we're overwhelmed with hundreds and hundreds of centers that start signing up for those programs and we have to then shut it down. I don't anticipate that shutting down before you'd be able to buy it when your department's back open January 5th. So I wouldn't stress about it too much. I have a feeling, just to give everybody a heads up, I have a feeling this will fill up, but not until we get into January, towards the end of January. And we'll give everybody a warning. Like we did this before if you were a Pioneer. Like we gave everybody plenty of warning. And we were even courteous to some folks, like somebody was like trying to get to a certain level and they're like, I need to pay you next month. I can't pay you this month. Can I pay the balance next month? And we just let them do it. So it's not going to be, you know, super strong armed or a definite date. And we'll give you plenty of warning if we're going to close it down. You bought up the Pioneer cost as return to savings over a year period. Yeah. So for the different levels, like I have a sheet and I'll be happy to share that with everybody. We priced the 1,000 and the 2,500 and the 5,000 for different reasons, but like it's not going to make a lot of sense for somebody with 10 PCs to buy Platinum because it would be like a 10-year payback on that 50% discount to buy Platinum. So I just have a nice little chart of like, and I'm doing this off the cuff, but it's like 25, 50, and 75. Say like are the levels that make sense for a pretty reasonable payback on that investment to buy into those programs based on the savings. If we price it, and I believe I base that on $4 a PC a month subscription. So if we price it lower, it'll be a longer payback. If we price it higher, it'll be a faster payback. But, you know, that's where we're at in our minds is somewhere around the $4 a PC a month license fee. So that's what I kind of used in those estimates. To get the first wave of ggRock, yeah, just be a Pioneer. Just sign up for the Pioneer program starting out. Shout out to Microtik, John says. I love Microtik. I don't know if many people know this, but my first business I started was an ISP. We built 46 towers around Indiana and Illinois for licensed wireless before DSL and cable. And when I found Microtik, it might as well been like Christmas, you know, for the rest of my life. It is such a great product. It's so efficient. It's it does everything Cisco does. It just doesn't say Cisco on the front. And if I remember right, I would have to look this up, but it was built almost open source by some folks in the very beginning. And then a couple people like Baltic Networks and some other folks have then like commercialized it where like I didn't have to go buy the boards and build the actual thing myself. I could just buy the ready-made switch with Microchip OS running everything. So yeah, we'll save the YouTube link. If we have CC boot, we need to build a new server. Oh my gosh, that's a great question. Gosh, this is going to have to be a technical question because I don't believe you do. Like our intention is that some of us are running other programs now, and obviously whatever hardware you have is more than efficient to run our solution. I believe we're working on the ability to go back and forth during the test. So and I'll just say it the way we did it. So at eBash, like I have our CC boot server that we ran forever, and during ggRock over the past few months, eBash has been the guinea pig on all of this. We set up another server because it was a lot cheaper to buy the hardware for that one, so that we had the ability to literally just unplug and plug in from the network for any kind of back and forth that we needed to do. I can tell you, like, we never did. I never unplugged and plugged something back in. What we did is we moved 20 PCs of our 40 onto it and left 20 on the old one, and just like, watched back and forth to see if we need to change anything, and we never did. I do believe that there is a plan in place for running them simultaneously, but I don't want to quote it. So I think the same hardware will run both. I don't know. I'm not even going to say it out loud because it sounds goofy to say out loud. It is a great question, Daniel Perry, for the deep dive folks. I don't think you need to build a new one, but we'll let them answer that one.
And just to let everybody know, all of these kind of technical questions will be forwarded to our tech department that know how to answer them, and they'll also be added to a detailed FAQ, which will also be available to everybody closer to launch. So thank you.
All right. Here you go. Ross can't stand it. He just sent me this thing. So you can modify your existing server, purchase 3 drives that we recommend, install ggRock in the same server as your current boot solution, or you can purchase a new dedicated server. So it's about $500 in 3 drives if you've got the bays available in your existing one, or about $2,000 to build a brand new ggRock server. So those would be your 2 options for getting on the program if you're currently running CC boot or another program. There you go. Now we don't have to wait. They just can't stand it. I just didn't want this to be super technical. I know there's lots of technical questions, and I think it's enough content that we can put it in another webinar, because again, we're at 45 minutes. I want to answer as many other questions as I can. Dustin, why would I give you a shout out? No, I'm not giving you a shout out. Shouldn't you be working? You're in Vegas working for a client. Stop listening to the webinar. Yeah, so Leonardo, we talked about this a little bit. What happens if the server goes down? You're right. This is the point of failure, single point of failure. You're taught to never have a single point of failure. Therefore, you always want to build that hardware to the point that it needs to have the ability to hot swap drives. It needs to have some sort of RAID configuration on the OS. That's the purpose of building a nice, like, enterprise version of hardware, versus like you don't want to pull an old PC out of the back room that used to be a gaming PC and try to use it. It would work just fine. But do you want your whole center running through an old gaming PC that's been repurposed, or do you want to have like a piece of hardware that you've built just for the sole purpose of doing this? If you want to sleep better at night, again, I'm sure that we will have an option for dual servers in the space. I just think there's a lot bigger risk of other things failing than the server itself. Like a power outage or an internet outage, or other things that would make the center unusable, that would make this boot solution unusable as well. I wouldn't recommend this to anybody if I hadn't been running this sort of setup for a couple years now. Some folks that have been familiar with this, Andreas from Sweden, he was one of the first people I know that had the guts. And I remember Andreas telling me, like, he had to order an HP server from the US over to Sweden, and it was like $10,000 to get it shipped into the country. And like, he just wanted to make sure it was rock solid. And then he was kind of one of the first guinea pigs. I feel like he ran it 4 or 5 years ago, and the rest of us just like leaned on the fact that he didn't have any problems. So therefore we had the guts to go out and try it. So those of you that are getting on now, just always be ready to use all the rest of us as the guinea pigs that we've done the testing. And as Winger mentioned in his thing, we do have a spec ops division. So if you're not comfortable with it, our group's happy to help. We bundle our services and the hardware and everything in one package. A lot of clients are using that services. In fact, we're doing image updates on a daily basis for some of our clients. So if you really are not uncomfortable with it, you can hire our team, and our team becomes your network department for your store, which is kind of nice. Yeah, great question, John. I might have confused some of this on the Pioneer levels. So the Pioneer levels are based on, like, I'm suggesting the buy-ins are based on how many PCs you have, because you will make that money back. However, there are some folks, and I'll just tell you how this worked the first time we did. There are some folks who are building their stores right now that look at that platinum buy-in at 5,000 as a part of like their capital expenses of buying in, and maybe you're open for 10 years and you're just going to get a 50% discount on this thing forever. Like, that never expires, that discount. So the folks that bought into ggLeap and got their discounts just get those discounts forever on ggLeap. So, feel free to buy in at whatever level you're comfortable with that you can afford, knowing that you're buying in and getting those discounts. However, if you want to look at it as a payback on the savings that you'll get on the license fees, it does make sense to look at it in those levels of like 25, 50, and 75 PCs for silver, gold, and platinum. Where's the info about Pioneer options and those platinums? That's what's on the screen here. We'll have this video up afterwards. Again, email sales, they'd be happy to send you this deck or some of those lists of the pricings. Yep, Georgina answered that one. I see now that I scroll up. Sorry, Georgina. When will it be deployed and how much for normal price? So again, normal price, we haven't decided. Deployment, we call this Pioneer Access, but it really is running eBash My Store right now in full. So we're running it now. Like, you can run it now for your stores if you want. And I can tell you, we're planning on, probably there's a couple new clients that are building out in the next few months that we will install this solution for them in the next few months. We'll feel comfortable enough for it to be like stable for everybody to use on an ongoing basis and not worry about having a backup. So if you're a brand new center and getting ready to open the next couple months, you'll be fine to use it in its current state. I feel like moving forward. Is the Pioneer discounts per location? The Pioneer that's a great question, Dallas. The Pioneer discounts are for your company for all locations. So like if you buy into the Pioneer program, you'll get that discount at all those locations. It's a great question. And that kind of factors back into the PC count. So like if you have 10 PCs per location, but you have 10 locations, I would do the platinum, because you'll see that return pretty fast across all those different locations. Is this usable for VR-based gaming arena? Absolutely. Like, again, ggRock is really, there's applications for this outside of gaming for sure. Like, there's a lot of people that will use this solution in other situations that have nothing to do with gaming. So your VR machines, as long as you don't have 10 wildly different PCs that are running your VR stations, they do need to be somewhat similar so that you don't have to maintain multiple images for them to boot off of. But it really comes down to like things that are like motherboard differences or some extreme driver differences that you wouldn't want to mix and match different processors across images, I don't think. So, but in general, you can run pretty similar builds with the same image. So if you have any questions about that, again, the deep dive folks will help you with 100%. You can use it for a VR center, 100%. Like, there's a lot of folks that will use this product that have no use or maybe ever for ggLeap that will want this product to be able to use for their installs. Do you intend to have different prices for some countries? Great question. We fight with this all the time. It really depends on our cost to deliver it. So our struggle with ggLeap is that it costs me the same amount to deliver this to South America as it does North America. And I know in South America, folks charge $1 an hour, and in North America, we charge $5 an hour. Like, I understand why it makes sense to charge different things based on economies, but for ggLeap, it costs me the exact same to deliver that product per PC all around the world. ggRock doesn't have those same requirements, so we might have some flexibility on that, but in the end, I really just want to do as low a price as we can for everybody everywhere. So if we could do it for $1 a PC a month, I'd just like to do it for $1 a PC a month everywhere. We're really struggling to deliver ggLeap in some of these countries because we know that people can't pay $5 a PC a month, and we're trying to find ways to make our software cheaper so that we could just lower the cost for everybody. If we saved $1 a PC a month in our cost, we just lower everybody's, license fees with us by $1. So, Thomas, if you have multiple centers, several hundred PCs, it's still, 5K, 100%. Why would you not do it? Like 100%. do the 5K because you're going to save that across all those stores forever. I am CC Boot. Glad to hear ggRock joins this match. That's awesome. Yeah, we're excited about it. It's been hard not to talk about it. As we built out the product and tested it, we've done a really good job. I feel like it's kind of like Baby Yoda a little bit. So now we can finally talk about it and make T-shirts with pictures of Baby Yoda on it. If you looked at the beginning of the slide, we still haven't decided on the ggRock logo yet. We're still going back and forth. Pours out a 40 for the ignored tech questions. Don't be sad, Jacob. This is not meant to be a tech. This was more of the business side and getting involved. Never often those guys will drive you to the end of the earth with tech. Like they just cannot wait to talk about the tech. So the deep dive on tech coming up on the 30th and the 6th, you'll want to jump into those. Oh, look, Neveroff's already answering in there. Geez, you guys are high-fiving. Just quit taking over my chat. This is not a technical high-five chat. All right, did we get through everybody?
We did. Well done.
I hope everybody understands where we're coming from with this product in the end. We want to make sure and deliver a solid solution for everybody as the base and foundation for running a center effectively, efficiently, and delivering the best customer experience, player experience that we can. One more question.
Sorry, Zach. Leo had an additional question about additional programs installed. It's a good question.
Yeah, it's kind of like, think about it this way. Could you run those PCs the same with ggLeap as one administrator log in and then have another administrator log in that runs the PC stuff? Absolutely. Like whatever you would be able to install on that local hard drive and create as that image, you can make that bootable image the same for all those PCs. So you could have it boot into just the Windows login, and one says ggLeap, and when you click on that, it launches ggLeap and you run it like a game center. And if you Control-Alt-Delete and log off that Windows user and pick the other Windows user, and maybe that's got the school configuration on it, they log in with their own whatever, like absolutely, you can have that same image be the boot image for all the PCs in that network so they all have that access. Good question, Leonardo. We did it in 1 hour. Holy cow. That was impressive. Thanks, everybody, for joining. I appreciate all the questions. I hope everybody's excited about it as we are. Don't miss next Monday's year in review and our look into next year as an overall company. If you guys all have not seen that already, Georgina, you've got links for that. People can join, right?
Yes.
Cool. Anything we're forgetting, Georgina?
I think that's it. The links to the technical deep dive I haven't set up yet, but I'll send those out after this, as well as the YouTube link. And then also the sales team have got this deck as well. So if you want to contact them, feel free to reach out and hound them. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining.
Thanks, everybody. Talk soon.
Yeah. Bye.